we're going to start making a denture now. If you guys are close and you got your teeth pretty close and you want to just keep moving on, you guys know now how to move teeth. And remember that the reason why we like shell models on the bottom is because I can see now I can see my occlusion. So when I look through my opposing model, I can see where the teeth are hitting. And so this would be the time where you'd move into your different modules and you'd adjust the occlusion and get everything dialed in really nicely down here. I'm going to keep moving on, though, for time's sake. And we're going to say this is our tooth position. Let's start making a denture with this tooth position. So in the denture panel, we should be on the far right, denture panel. And now we're going to go down to denture, and we're going to say, I want to build a denture on the upper impression. So that's blue for me. And I want to make it a maxilla. And I'm going to hit create denture. So the very first thing that it's going to ask you is going to say, how much undercuts do you want? So this goes back to that conversation of undercuts. So undercuts apply even to dentures because people can have buccal undercuts up there. How much do you want to engage that? Do you not want to engage that? I would say that we're in the mindset of like relining these things. So we want them to be passive. We want it to go on and not get bound up. If you've ever had that where it's like too much undercut engagement from the lab, we're going to reline these. So don't make heavy undercuts. So that arrow is telling you, it's saying that's your path of insertion that's defaulting. And so I might want to change it. And I say, hey, I want this patient to kind of put it in from the view that I'm looking at. So my screen is looking down that view a little bit more towards the facial. And I can hit set insertion direction from the view. And now those undercuts got changed where there's a little bit of undercut. So the software is making dark brown all areas of undercut. Let's just say I don't want any. If I just go to 0, if I just say that 0, it's not going to block out any undercuts. It's going to block out all the undercuts. Excuse me. Is anybody big on posterior palatal seal? Like, anybody feel like they're strong in that area or like understand it really well? Like, do you? Yeah. Okay, that's cool because I don't, I didn't get much on that stuff, but this has the ability to define the posterior palatal seal, where you can actually, yeah, and if if you're strong in this area and you want to teach us stuff, go for it. But you have the ability to actually create that just like a denture lab would do. You can sit here and actually create some sort of posterior palatal seal. I never do because I'm relining them all anyway. So
on an immediate,
yeah, exactly. So we're not doing it. So we're going to say we're just going to go past the undercut stage, and it's going to create a new model called our undercut model. Just like everything else that we do is like it made a brand new model here. And if you look at, do you see these like straight lines? Do you see how it blocked that out? You can kind of see the change in texture right here.
Yeah, I'm getting behind here.
Okay, I'll pause for a sec. Okay, so this is where you'd look down your model as if you'd want to, how you'd want the patient to insert it in their mouth. So generally, you'd want to back up, and yeah, you'd want to put it in like that, right? Yeah. And so you want to go back to that denture panel, and you want to say set from view. Yeah. Yeah. Yep, good. And now what? You see how that brown went away?
Yeah.
And now if you rotate it, you'll see a little brown up there.
Yeah.
And then that's the true undercuts that exist now from the path that you taught it.
Right.
And then you've got to say, how much do I want to allow? Do I want to allow 0? If you want to allow 0, then just crank it all the way down. Mm-hmm. Because You want this thing just to slide on. If you're doing expanding the maxilla because you're pulling out teeth and it's a little bigger than it started, you want this thing just to passively go on. Then you can reline it all you want.
Right. So 0. Okay.
So 0, and then just hit to the next. So you're just going to hit the right arrow. Everyone have their undercut model done? So the next thing we're going to do is select our base. So this is where you're going to shift click, and we're going to go around the vestibule, and we're going to make a denture base. So we're going to follow it around, and this is called V-notch strong, right? Recognize that term? Sonata. He always points out his V-notches over the frenum. So we already talked about how we can leave the vestibule short, So I'm just kind of doing exaggeration, but you may want to leave your vestibules really short, and then just capture it in the reline. All right, I'm going to give you my opinions on these 4 settings because this is a point where you get to put in you get to choose 4 settings on how thick and you want to make the base. Your offset is your spacer. So it's kind of like, do you want a little spacer between, the denture and the, if we're relining it, a little spacer I think is a good idea. So let's just say we want to put in 0.01 or 0.1. I think having a little bit of room for slop and play and just some reline material is a good idea. It defaults to 3 millimeters thickness. And Brady, this goes back to you talking about custom trays, you like 3 millimeters. These dentures I put at 1.5 millimeters because the 3 was very thick for a denture. I mean, imagine 3 millimeter thick denture. That's a lot. That's a thick denture. 1.5 millimeters, I have not had one break yet in the MFH. They're strong. So I've been doing 1.5 millimeters. It's a nice, lightweight, thin denture. It's strong. They work good. I don't change the gingival margin thickness or the gingival smoothness. I haven't really messed with any of that. But after you got your settings set and you've got your border outlined, we're going to go and we're going to hit the next arrow. And this is where it's going to start adding a base. Just add another point between them. So undo that. Okay, so shift drag one of those points closer. There you go. Okay, so if you go to teeth surfaces, the one below that right there, and then it's a little bit hard to see, but if you could maybe stretch this out so that can you stretch that out so you can see the names a little bit better? Let me see this here. Let's see if I can right click that. Yeah, let's see. Let's just toggle visibility. See if this will work here. I think that should work. Now, okay, so when you were doing your base here, it looks like, let me get your surfaces. Let me turn off your lower here. I'm going to hide that. So it looks like your base kind of got off.
Yeah.
So let's do this. Let's do Let's
redo it.
Yeah, let's go. Let's see what's the fastest way to. Let's go back, and then we'll go. Let's see, we did this. I'm gonna set your insertion from view, and then let's create a new model here. Okay, so goal is shift click and do small little increments all the way around, like that. And so go all the way around in small little chunks here, being careful as you cross over. And that way it doesn't get too offline. That's okay if it's just kind of set off like that. Don't worry about that too much. Even that, like, don't worry about that, even if it kind of looks like it's going through there. You know, it's not a big deal. And you're just going to follow all the way around. Because it looked like it kind of got like lost across the model. So sometimes it's easier just to kind of go back and then, you know, dodge your freenums here. And then you've got your loop there. So you got the idea.
Yep.
So, and then offset, I think like adding like 0.1, whatever, and then changing that. Yeah, 1.5, perfect. So somewhere in there. Next. What's that? No, it shouldn't. I was just telling him, if it looks like it goes through there, it shouldn't make any difference there. It's smart enough to know that, yeah. Yeah, the denture module is pretty easy.
You get stuck on other things, but conceptually it's not really that difficult. It's just you get stuck on one dumb thing. You'll spend 15 minutes trying to figure out how to make something happen.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like it's pretty good. The software's pretty good.
Yeah. Pretty easy. Okay, so has everybody got a denture?
Still thinking.
And you can see how when a patient, when you don't reduce a lot of the jaw, and the patient had teeth and you just deleted the teeth and there wasn't any reduction or resorption, you get thick, bulky interims, right? Kind of like what we're used to. Interims are just thick and bulky because they've got to go outside of the existing, you know, bony housing, essentially. So what I like to do here is a lot of times there's a little bit of extra gum over some of the teeth. I like to just go to the add remove, and this is the part where you get to do shift or control. Shift adds, so I can sit here and I can add gums over the teeth, or I can hit control and kind of remove gums. So I like to kind of remove some of this back to expose a little bit more of the necks of the teeth. These computers are a little slow here.